How's it going, everyone? It is a new week, so it is time for a new Green Bay Packers 7-round mock draft. This will be version 2.0. Here on this channel, we do mock drafts every single week, so if that does interest you, as well as Packers news, analysis, and updates, go down, click the subscribe button, also leave a like on the video. All right, so for this mock draft, we're not going to be doing an Aaron Rodgers trade. I did a normal mock draft last week. I'm going to do a normal 7-round mock draft for the Green Bay Packers today. Now, there can be some trades in this draft, but none of which are going to include Aaron Rodgers. He's still in his darkness retreat. I don't know when he's going to be out of that, if he isn't already, and when he's going to give any sort of insight or news to whether or not he's going to return to play football. So everything's kind of still in the dark, pun intended, right now. So I'm not going to do a mock draft with an Aaron Rodgers trade. Now, obviously, if he comes out and says he wants to play and the Packers are like, okay, look, we're going to trade you, then yeah, we have plenty of time to do a bunch of mock drafts with a said Aaron Rodgers trade. But for this one, keeping it simple, a normal Green Bay Packers 7-round mock draft. All right, so entering into the mock draft simulator here on PFF, obviously nothing really has changed. The Green Bay Packers have pick 15 in the first round. All the other picks are also the same. I'm going to let the first 10 run. I don't feel the need to trade into the top 10. Let me know if you want to see one that doesn't include an Aaron Rodgers trade, but also potentially a trade into the top 10 for someone maybe like Tyree Wilson or someone of that sort. Let me know down in the comments below. All right, so the first picks off the board on this mock draft, we have Jalen Carter to the Bears, Bryce Young to the Texans, Devin Witherspoon, wow, all the way up here at 3, CJ Stroud, quarterback to the Colts, Will Anderson fell to 5 to the Seahawks, Tyree Wilson, the next edge off the board to the Lions, Anthony Richardson to the Raiders here, Will Levis to the Falcons, Peter Skronsky to the Panthers, Christian Gonzalez to the Eagles, Brian Branch to the Titans, Quentin Johnston to the Texans, Broderick Jones to the Jets, and Paris Johnson Jr. to the Patriots. Now we are sitting here at pick 15, and there are a lot of good players on the board per usual. Lucas Van Ness, an edge player that I feel like fits the Packers defense, fits the Packers defensive mold, someone that they could definitely be looking at pick 15. Kalijah Kancey, I don't really think they need to draft a defensive lineman again in the first round this year. Same with Brian Breezy here. Jordan Addison, definitely an option, a little bit undersized for what I think the Packers usually go for. 6 foot, 175 pounds. I think Addison would be a great, number 2 wide receiver next to someone like Christian Watson, a dude that if you put, single coverage on, he can beat his guy and make plays. Not exactly sure if it's really worth this pick 15 right here. Myles Murphy, really, really like him. He's been kind of falling a bit. I feel like 3 weeks ago, he was a certified top 7 pick, at least in this mock draft simulator. But of course, things always change. So we could definitely be looking at Myles Murphy here. JSN, we've drafted the last couple of times. I really like him as well. There's Zay Flowers, Andre Carter, Dalton Kincaid. Obviously, all these tight ends here, Dalton Kincaid, Michael Mayer, and also Luke Musgrave. Some of these, maybe all, maybe none, might sneak into the first round. But hey, the Packers do have a need at tight end. But with all the good talent on the board, I'm going to try to trade down a little bit. The one available trade here, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The other one's the Titans at 41. I'm not trading down to 41 from 15. It's not going to happen. They wouldn't even be able to offer me enough. So trading down 2 spots here, you're still kind of guaranteeing you one of those good players, and we're going to try to pick up some picks here. So we're going to give them 15. We're going to swap 15 for 17. I'm going to try to get 32 from them. So that's likely means I'm going to have to give them 45, but I can also try to pick up 80 in return for that. So that's a 49% chance. So we're swapping 45 and 32. So we're jumping 13 spots there. We're dropping down 2 spots here, and we're also picking up pick 80 in the 3rd round. I'd say that's pretty good value. We'll see if they accept it here. They do. So we get pick 17, pick 32, which is from Chicago, so that's even better, and then pick 80 from Pittsburgh, and we give them pick 15, pick 45. We resume this draft. The 2 next players were Lucas Van Ness to the Steelers. That honestly fits, and Tanner McKee to the Commanders here. So Brian Breezy still on the board, Kalijah Kancey, Addison, Murphy, all these guys still on the board. All right, so with this pick, I am looking at Jordan Addison here. I like Myles Murphy. I like JSN. I don't feel the need to grab a defensive lineman here. Zay Flowers, I would love in the Packers offense just as that type of movable weapon. You put him wherever and he creates mismatches. But I feel for pick 17, the Packers need more of a true number 1 or number 2 wide receiver. And I think Jordan Addison is that guy over JSN and Zay Flowers. Addison can play outside. He can play in the slot. He plays bigger than his frame at 175, kind of like Devontae Smith. Very, very similar in that regard. I really like him. The transfer after 2021 was a head scratcher from Pittsburgh after 1,593 yards, the Fred Biletnikoff Award. then transfers to USC and still puts up a pretty good season, 875 yards and 8 touchdowns. And that's with a whole new system, going into the last year of your college career, a whole new team. So, I get why that production would obviously drop from the 1593. An 82.4 receiving grade, 2.78 yards per route run, really low contested catch rate. He's not going to go up there and moss people with his frame by any means. Very low drop rate as well. This dude has very, very sure hands, a 3.3%. Drop rate there. What's his role? A high-end number 2. Addison doesn't have prototypical number 1 receiver traits, but if a defense leaves him singled up, he'll still make them pay. He can seamlessly fill a number of roles in an NFL offense where he wins route running. I feel like the Packers are missing a really, really good route running wide receiver, obviously ever since Davante Adams left. So with this pick, I am going to go wide receiver finally. Aaron Rodgers isn't traded in this mock draft. They're going out. He's coming back, and they're drafting a wide receiver in the first round in Jordan Addison at pick 17 after trading down. Now we're here at pick 32 since we traded with the Pittsburgh Steelers, so we pick right again, right at the top of the second round. Players on the top of the board: Will McDonald the fourth, Antonio Johnson, Luke Musgrave, Osiris Torrance, Mozzie Smith, BJ Ojulari, Tank Dell, Tyreek Stevenson, Josh Downs. Someone that's very intriguing right now is Luke Musgrave, and I know we just added on offense, but I feel like the problem last year was they didn't have enough weapons on offense. Obviously, with Davante Adams, being traded to the Las Vegas Raiders, they never really replaced that, at least early. Sure, they drafted Christian Watson in the second round, Romeo Doubs in the fourth round, and, Watson really did contribute late in the season, Doubs somewhat in the beginning and then got hurt. But I feel like if you added Jordan Addison and Luke Musgrave, and they both turned out to what you expect them to be, this offense is back to 2020 level with Aaron Rodgers back to MVP form with these type of weapons. So the Packers always go defense at the top of the draft for the last decade or so, and it's always defense. And I feel like that's finally started to come back and bite them ever since losing Davante Adams. Last year, their offense was nowhere near what we're used to seeing, especially under Aaron Rodgers. And yes, there's a lot to be contributed to that, Aaron Rodgers' broken thumb and whatnot. But nonetheless, if you add Jordan Addison and Luke Musgrave to this offense, Luke Musgrave is the definition of an athlete and a guy that you can do so much with on offense. The only concern is he was injured last year, the year before that, a decent season, then in 2020, the COVID year. He's never really put up like a full season, and he's never really played a full season. Last year, he did play 13 games, 304 yards, 1 touchdown. So the production really isn't there, at least in a consistency standard, but everything else he has. You see what's his role, vertical threat. Get Musgrave going downfield. It's like having another receiver. Trying to make him a possession receiver would be a mistake. This dude, which a lot of people expect him to completely blow up the combine at 6'6", 250 pounds, might be one of the fastest players at that height and weight in NFL history. He has extreme speed. He has the height, he has the size, and he could just be a complete mismatch at tight end, something the Packers have missed for a long, long time. I feel like at this point, I do like him over Michael Mayer and Dalton Kincaid. My opinions on these tight ends have been changing a lot, but I do really like Musgrave, and I think this is exactly right around the mark where he goes, and if he blows up that combine, he'll likely go in the first round. So we're going to go double on offense this mock draft. We're going to do it. We're going to go Luke Musgrave at pick 32 here. Tight end out of Oregon State. So we're now in round 3. We have pick 78 and pick 80 due to that trade with the Steelers. I'm going to try to trade up from pick 78 here to pick 66 with the Arizona Cardinals. There's someone on the board that I do want to get up and grab because I don't think he'll be there at pick 78. And we're only going to be giving up a compensatory pick here, 171 for it. There's a 45% chance, so we might have to give up another 7th round here, but we have plenty of them. So we're going to go ahead and offer that trade, and they're not going to accept it. So we're going to go and add 237 here, and they're going to accept it. And if you're looking at the top of the board, you might think, oh, John Michael Schmitz. Sure, I would love him. I think he would start over Josh Myers. Josh Myers kind of had a down year last year, and I think he might even have competition with Zach Tom. Same with Joe Tippmann. And I always do like Jalen Hyatt, but we already got 2 offensive weapons. We wouldn't really need Jalen Hyatt, although that would be ridiculous. But the player I traded up for was Isaiah Foskey, edge out of Notre Dame. After going offense on the first 2 picks, I think it's time we address the defense, and the Packers have a big need at edge rusher. And Isaiah Foskey, I think, would be a great addition to this room. I mean, he had a ton of production in 2022 and 2021, 12 sacks last year, 11 sacks the year before, a 14.8 pass rush win rate, a 73.8 pass rush grade. He had a 72.2 overall grade last year and an 80.7 grade in 2021. I think he's a really talented edge. As we see here, he had the highest pressure to sack conversion rates in the FBS, 23 sacks on only 65 pressures the past 2 years. Absolutely ridiculous. This guy can get to the quarterback. The Packers are going to need that. When does Rashawn Gary return? Preston Smith's getting older. Kingsley Enagbare looks good, but I think they still need to draft an edge early. And here in round 3, I think this would be a great pick if the draft fell this way, getting 2 really, really nice offensive weapons, then circling back, not trading up much to get up to pick 66 here, and getting Isaiah Foskey, edge out of Notre Dame. So that is going to be my pick. Isaiah Foskey, edge, Notre Dame at pick 66. Now we are back on the clock here at pick 80. As I said, we had 78 and 80. We just traded up from 78, so we still kept 80. Players on the board: Michael Wilson, Christopher Smith, Dwayne McBride, Darius Rush, Demarion Overshone, Jalen Duncan, Moro Ojomo. I really like Christopher Smith here, and hey, would it be a Packers draft if they didn't draft a defender out of Georgia? He's an undersized safety, that's for sure, at 5'11", 195 pounds. He's a really good all-around safety. His ball skills are really good, tracking, deep passes and whatnot on the back end as a deep safety, which the Packers need. As we see here, 547 snaps deep. A lot of these safeties in these middle rounds are kind of more of a box/slot safety, which the Packers could still use, but I feel like that's more of a Darnell Savage role anyways. Does play some slot last year, 132, and some box, 130, so he can do what you want him to do, but he's primarily going to be a deep safety, and that's what the Packers need. As we see here, 52 tackles this year with 11 missed tackles. He had 11 coverage stops, 7 run stops, a 50.0 passer rating allowed. Dude's really, really good in coverage as well, and has a good run defense grade, 85.9, an 11.8 forced incompletion rate. And then also he only allowed 20 receptions on 34 targets. A really good cover safety. He can cover ground quickly, has great awareness, is a bit undersized, but I think he would fit really, really well in this defense. And the Packers have a huge, huge need at safety, and I think they definitely need to draft one within the first 3 rounds. And if it's someone like Christopher Smith, I'm pretty happy. The Packers have done pretty well drafting Georgia defenders. So with this pick, at pick 80 here, we are going Christopher Smith, safety out of Georgia. Now we're here at pick 116 in the 4th round. Some players on top of the board: Fehoko, Ronnie Hickman, Broderick Martin, Sean Tucker, Zach Harrison, Jair Brown still here, KJ Henry, an edge player I really like. But I'm really tempted to double dip here with safety and get another type of safety in Ronnie Hickman. Dude plays downhill. You can use him in pressure packages. You play him in the box. You can put him against tight ends, big slot wide receivers. Whereas Christopher Smith is the opposite. Deep cover safety, covers ground quickly, good ball skills, where this guy can hit hard. You can pressure him, pressure the quarterback with him. I think it'd be really nice to add both these guys, these 2 really, athletic safeties that can do 2 different things into this defense, considering Amos is a free agent. They didn't, re-sign him before that void deadline, so that's already going to be dead money even if they do re-sign him. Rudy Ford's still a free agent, which they could still bring back and draft both these guys, and that would do wonders for this really, really, really weak safety room. Ronnie Hickman had an 88.9 coverage grade, so also good in coverage last year. A really nice 39.2 passer rating allowed. Had 7 run stops, 5 coverage stops, only allowed 13 receptions, 6 forced incompletions. He did have 11 missed tackles last year on 39 total tackles, had 79 tackles the year before. As we see here, he can also play deep, so you could put both Hickman and Christopher Smith back deep. But if you went into a 1 deep look, you put Ronnie Hickman in the box, and he's going to help against the run. He can help pressure the quarterback. As we see here, 379 snaps in the box and also 164 in the slot. I normally don't like drafting the same position back to back, but in my eyes, this isn't the same position. These are 2 different types of safeties where you could do multiple different things in this defense. So I'm going to do it. At pick 116, I'm going to go Ronnie Hickman, safety out of Ohio State. Here in the 5th round at pick 151, I was looking at Xavier Hutchinson, a nice receiver out of Iowa State. And if they lose Alan Lazard, getting another receiver from Iowa State, a tall receiver, 6'3", 205, would be kind of interesting. Did have a lot of production, 1,171 yards last year, 990 the year before. But I kind of want to add a little bit of a gadget player here. And I think Deuce Vaughn, first off, amazing name for a running back, would be an awesome add in the 5th round for this Packers offense. And it's not saying, okay, this guy's going to get plenty of snaps year 1, but you could use him in jet sweeps. You can use him in gadget plays and mismatches. He could just be used in so many different ways. And yes, his size, 5'6", 176 pounds. But I mean, man, you've seen what these type of running backs in the past in the NFL can do. But man, just the thought of what Matt LaFleur could do with him in this offense. 1,561 rushing yards in 2022, 1,409 rushing yards in 2021. More importantly, 43 receptions last year for 373 yards and 49 receptions the year before for 468 yards. This dude is practically an elite wide receiver. Yes, he's playing at Kansas State, so I understand that. An 84.5 rushing grade. I think it would be such a fun draft pick here in the 5th round and eventually could replace Aaron Jones. Obviously, he'll be back next year, but we'll still see what happens in 2024. And getting a guy like this who could be a real big threat in the receiving game as a running back, but also a good runner and could be used, in gadget ways with jet sweeps his first couple of years, I think would be awesome. So with this pick at 151, we are going Deuce Vaughn, running back out of Kansas State. Now we are in the 7th round. We didn't have any 6th round picks. We do have 4 7th round picks. So I'm gonna fly through these as it's early in the draft process. It's still February. A lot of this is gonna change. Some of these guys may not get drafted. Some of these guys may, fly up. So we're gonna go through this as quickly as possible as it is just the 7th round. With our first 7th round pick, I'm gonna do it again. I feel like every time I'm here in the 7th round and I have a bunch of picks, I'm gonna do it. Hunter Lupke here, fullback out of North Dakota State. Bring back the fullback in the NFL. I think the Packers could use this guy even as an H-back over someone like Josiah DeGuara. I think that'd be fun. I think it'll be fun in this offense, getting, Deuce Vaughn, Hunter Lupke here, Luke Musgrave, and Jordan Addison. I just think it would be, a good amount of offensive talent there to add in the back end. So we're going to go Hunter Lupke here, fullback out of North Dakota State at pick 234. Here at pick 244, we're going to add a tackle as we didn't add any offensive linemen to this point. So with this pick, we are going to go Richard Garage here, tackle out of Florida. Allowed 1 sack last year, 2 sacks the year before that. Primarily played left tackle last year, did play some left guard in 2020, so does have some versatility. 6'5", 305 pounds. You're kind of taking a random shot here at some players in the 7th round. So getting a tackle, just like they did Rasheed Walker last year. So we're going to go Richard Garage here, tackle out of Florida at pick 244. 2 picks remaining. So at 256, I'm going to add a little bit of defensive line depth with Dante Stills here. Kind of projects as like a 3-tech, 6'4", 285 pounds. Actually had a really nice year last year, an 85.7 grade, 5 total sacks, 21 hurries. Last year had 8 sacks, 14 hurries. So, based on the stats here, because I don't know much about him, but you would think he would be higher than a 7th round pick here. So I'm going to go Dante Stills, defensive lineman here at pick 256. And here at pick 259, we have one more pick. I kind of wish it was Mr. Irrelevant, but nonetheless, I feel like every time I'm picking at this exact spot, I'm going to go ahead and draft Jake Moody. The Packers haven't re-signed Mason Crosby yet. They don't have a kicker. He's 39 years old. I think Jake Moody would work as a replacement kicker for Mason Crosby. Obviously, there's growing pains with rookie kickers, but I think he is the best kicker in this draft. So it's an easy pick here. It's second to last pick. Otherwise, you're going to have to try to get him as an undrafted free agent, and he might sign somewhere else. So we're going to go Jake Moody with our last pick here at pick 259. All right, so that does it for my Green Bay Packers 7-round mock draft version 2.0. Let's go over the picks real quick. We traded down with the Steelers, picking up pick 32 and pick 80, giving them 15 and 45, and we also obviously swapped first, so we ended up at 17, and we drafted Jordan Addison. I think he's going to be a very, very solid number 2 in the NFL, very similar to Devontae Smith. We saw them trade for A.J. Brown. He's their solid number 1 wide receiver. And then Devontae Smith still, does really well as a number 2. Anytime he's matched up singly, he makes plays. And that's very similar to what Jordan Addison is, and they have size comparisons. I think it's a good comparison. So getting him, I think, would be awesome for this offense as a solid number 2 guy next to Christian Watson. Then at pick 32, we go Luke Musgrave. Just a complete athlete at tight end, something that I would love in this Packers offense. I think this dude's going to blow up the combine, and he's going to go before pick 32. But in this mock draft, we grab him at 32. Then we trade up with the Arizona Cardinals here, getting Isaiah Foskey. Obviously, the Packers have a big need at edge. He's had a ton of production, double-digit sacks the past 2 years. His sack-to-pressure ratio is off the charts. So getting an edge here in round 3. Then in rounds 3 to 4, we double-dip in safety, getting Christopher Smith, a kind of undersized, deep cover safety, and Ronnie Hickman, a hard-hitting, run defense, pass rushing, but also pretty good at coverage too, safety as well. Amos, Rudy Ford, I say it all the time, pending free agents, so getting 2 safeties here in this draft would not surprise me at all. And they're 2 kind of different safeties, so I didn't mind drafting them back to back. In round 5, we go for a gadget player in Deuce Vaughn. Again, I just love that name for a running back. Very, very small running back. He's 5'6", 175 pounds, but this dude is pretty much an elite receiver as well. He can do so much, and I think he'd be a really nice piece to have in the future of this offense. Then we go Hunter Lupke here, fullback out of North Dakota State, with our first of 4 7th-round picks. Feel like I always get him in the 7th round at this point. Richard Grage, a depth tackle here out of Florida. Dante Stills, a depth lineman here out of West Virginia. And then our last pick, we go kicker to replace Mason Crosby, Jake Moody out of Michigan. So that does it for version 2.0. I'm actually very happy with this draft. I feel like adding these type of weapons on the offense would do wonders for what we saw as a very sluggish and, you know, not the same offense last year. I want to hear thoughts down in the comments below. Were there players that were on the board that I should have selected that you really liked? Leave that down in the comments below and let me know what you think of this draft. That about does it for this video. Also wanted to remind you guys, I'm still doing a double giveaway this month. Thank you to Pristine Auction. The first item I'm giving away is this Quay Walker signed Packers jersey, and the second item is a signed AJ Hawk Packers picture here. In order to enter in this giveaway, you go to pristineauction.com, sign up on their website using my registration code BAS, B-A-S, at pristineauction.com. They have a lot of cool stuff on that website, not just sports memorabilia, but a ton of stuff Packers as well, and a lot of cool stuff usually ends on Wednesdays. So go sign up, get a free $10 site credit using my code, get entered in the giveaway, and check out all their cool items. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Pack Go.